Morning to all. It is second lecture for second chapter. Is matter around us pure? Is matter around us pure? Okay. And this actually first in this lecture we will discuss difference between mixture and compound. Mixture and compound. So students, in the first video I have told that compound is also an example of pure. Is it or not? Pure material, pure matter. So we can say that it is impure. Is it or not? And it is a pure substance. Now second is the difference actually. In a mixture components we can say or constituents we can say can be separated by physical method. What is physical method? For example, hand picking method is a physical method. Okay. Evaporation by boiling, fractional distillations. We will discuss how actually we separate. But first I am saying by physical method these mixture can be separated. But what about compounds? These compounds cannot be separated by these methods. For example, I am just giving one example. And that H2 is there. H2O means water molecules are there. Through evaporation process what happen? All the water molecules will actually evaporate now, convert into vapor. But tell me one thing, their parts actually their atoms H2 and O, it will separate. It cannot separate now. It will actually convert into vapor in this form, in H2O form. These particles H2 and O, these atoms will not separate. Okay, na? But in this, suppose if in that water NaCl is also added, so it becomes mixture or not? I am saying that water and that water, what I have added? I have added NaCl. I have added salt. Okay. So through evaporation process, what happened? Water actually converted to vapor, and in that container, salt remain or not? Salt will be there now. So what happened? Through evaporation process, the mixture of NaCl and water is separated out or not? Because now in a container only salt is present or not, beta? So through physical properties actually mixtures can be separated out and compounds cannot be separated out through physical actually methods. This thing is clear? Okay. For example, I am just taking second example. Ink. Ink is made up of water and dye. Na? Ink, suppose it is an ink. So ink is made up of dye plus water, and through evaporation process water converted into vapor, so only dye is present or not in a container. So mixture can be separated out through physical methods, whereas compounds it cannot be separated out. So it is a difference. So again second difference is constituents. Constituents means particles of mixture can be separated out by physical method. Okay, and here constituents cannot be separated out by physical methods. Okay. Students, remember one thing, by physical methods compounds cannot be separated out. By chemical method it can be separated out. For example, by electrolysis method, by providing current, actually what happened, H2 as well as O2, it can be separated out. So I am saying by physical method atoms cannot be separated out. You have to remember this point, huh? Third point, actually in a mixture there is not any proportion of particles which are mixing with each other. It can vary. Is it or not? For example, NaCl particles are added on water. So we have not counted now how many actual particles, how many compounds are added on water. So it can vary or not. So in a mixture, particles can vary, constituents can vary. This thing is clear? This thing is clear or not? So third actual difference, constituents can vary in solution, but for compound, in a mixture case, what I am saying, that actually number of particles which are added in a solution, it can vary. Okay, that mixture can vary, because after that again we can add so much mixture, so much particles in that solution, so it can vary. But tell me one thing, if two atoms mixed and form a compound, so it can vary. For example, H2O, so this ratio is fixed or not, that two atoms of hydrogen, okay, and one atom of oxygen. So these constituents are fixed or not? In a compound, these atoms are fixed or not? For example, NaCl, one atom of Na and one atom of Cl. It forms salt now. So these atoms, these particles are fixed in a compound or not? Their ratio is fixed or not? But in the mixture, their ratio is not fixed. You can add more, okay? So this ratio, this proportion can be changed, whereas in a compound they have a fixed ratio, it cannot change. It cannot change. Constituents have fixed ratio or proportion. Okay, example I had given, NaCl H2O. So NaCl made up of Na as well as Cl. It has a fixed number of atoms. H2O, it has a fixed number of atoms, 2 hydrogen, 1 atom, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So fixed ratio is there or not? Okay, so these are the examples for compound. And last, actually, suppose beta, in a mixture I have added in a solution something, okay, so therefore actually if I talk about properties, so their product will be the sum of the properties of those components which are added or not. This thing is clear or not beta? Okay, so we can say that when some of the solutions are added, some of the particles are added on a solution, then not a new product will form. Their physical properties will be same. This property will be the sum of all particles. Their physical property is the sum of all particles or not? Their physical properties will not change. But for compound, when two atoms mix together, then a new product is formed, and this new product has a different property as compared to previous atoms. Clear? For example, I am saying no, actually we can say property of product is the sum of properties of both solutions. I am saying property of product is the sum of properties of both solutions. Okay? Suppose we have added two solutions, we have added two components. So what is their property? We'll just add both properties, physical properties. So it is the sum of actually properties of both. Clear? But in that actually properties of new product is different from the actually those reactant properties. Reactant properties means when H2 react with O2, so it form H2O now. So property of H2, property of O2 is different as compared to property of H2O. Okay, so when a product will form, its property is different than reactant's property. This thing is clear? So these are the some differences actually between compound as well as mixture. I hope it is clear. So these are some differences. Now we'll discuss alloy. Now we'll discuss alloy. In a 8th class also we have discussed alloy. Alloy means alloy. Actually, it is an example of mixture. So alloy is a mixture of two or more than two metals. Two or more than two metals. For example, bronze. For example, brass. So these are actually alloys. In that alloys, more than two metals are actually mixed with each other. So alloy will form. For example, bronze. In bronze, what happened? Copper plus tin is mixed in a fixed ratio. Clear? Whereas brass is also an example of alloy in which copper is mixed with zinc. Here you can just write down copper as well as tin. Here you can just write down copper as well as zinc. Here, so it is an example of mixture, okay, which is mixed in a fixed ratio. So alloy will form. Now, students, we'll discuss one effect which is known as Tyndall effect. Then we'll just discuss some methods of separation, okay, of heterogeneous mixtures. Because right now we have discussed mixtures, different type of mixtures. Now we'll discuss how to separate out these mixtures. So just before to start, first I'll just discuss Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect. Students, have you observed sometime that actually when light is gone so there's a darkness, and when you just open a window in a daytime, so a light is seen in a form of cone. A light is seen in the form of cone. Why it happens? Tell me. It happens due to the phenomena of Tyndall effect. Okay. So first, what is meant by Tyndall effect? So before to start this Tyndall effect, I just want to revise one thing. Colloidal solution means whose particles are moderate between two solution as well as suspended particles, suspension. Okay, actually its particle size is vary from 10 to the power minus 5 to 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter. We have discussed three solutions or not in a yesterday class. First, two solutions whose size are less than 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter. Then we have discussed colloidal solution. These are moderate actually between two solution as well as suspension. Okay, and suspension means which have a bigger particles, larger particles, more than 10 to the power minus 5 centimeter. For example, soil particles in a water. And for a colloidal solution, I had given an example milk. This thing is clear na? Milk is also example of colloidal solution na? Okay. So Tyndall effect is based on colloidal effect, colloidal solution. So actually suppose if it is a window and light is coming from this side and it is a one room, suppose. Yes, this is one room and this is your window. So what happened if it is dark and you just open a window? So what you see, that light is seems in this form, in the form of cone. Why? Because of these smaller colloidal particles. These are the actually colloidal particles that I am showing. So due to these colloidal particles, light is scattered in the form of cone. So what is Tyndall effect? It is a phenomena in which light is scattered in the form of cone. In the form of cone, and this cone is called as Tyndall cone. Tyndall cone. Clear? So first, what I am saying, a cone is formed through which you can see a lighted form. Okay, it is a lighted path. Okay, in that path a light is seen, and why it is seen? Due to this colloidal particles. Because due to these particles, light is scattered and form a path which is in the form of cone. Clear? This thing is clear or not, beta? So always remember, this Tyndall effect occurs due to only colloidal solution, colloidal particles, not true particles. I'll just give you an example. So usually I'll just discuss one experiment, so you just get all the part. So Tyndall effect is the phenomena in which light is scattered and form a path. This path is called Tyndall cone. Clear? I'm just removing. I will written a definition or not. Again I am saying it is a phenomena due to scattering of colloidal particles. It form a path, and this path is called Tyndall cone. And this phenomena occurs in a colloidal particles. Colloidal particles. I'll just show you one actually experiment. Suppose you're just taking a torch, and after that you're just taking a water, and in that water you have just added some NaCl. So it is a true solution or not? And it is a second glass in which you have added a milk. Okay. So once you just actually turn on the light, so brightness actually will not see in that true solution. Light will pass through it. Okay. Light will pass through it. Why? Because it is a true solution. Okay. And these particles are very smaller. Clear? But and this milk, because it is an example of colloidal solution now. Here particles are some broader. So here you just see a lightning in that part. You have seen a lightning. Clear? So it is an example of Tyndall effect in which a light is seen in that milk. Why? Because their particles are broader. So due to these broader particles, light will scatter, not due to true solution. Okay, so Tyndall effect, Tyndall method occurs in a colloidal particles. I think this thing is clear now. Now, at last, we'll discuss some separation methods. I'll start from hand picking. Okay. First, hand picking method. So, students, tell me one thing. Suppose two or more than different type of grains are actually mixed with each other. So which method you will just prefer actually to separate out? Okay, tell me. Or we can say a wheat in that some gravels are there. So some pebbles, small pebbles are there. So which method you will choose to separate out these gravels, these small pebbles? Hand picking method or not? So hand picking method is also a method of separating out two or more than two particles, actually two or more than two components by hand. It is a method of separating out particles, one particle from other particles by using hand. Okay. Now discuss second method. Now just see second method, filtration. Filtration. Suppose, students, a water is there, and in that water I mixed some soil. So first we'll wait for that these particles will settle down, and with the help of filtration easily we separate out these soil particles because their size is actually broader as compared to true solution. So easily with the help of filter paper it can be separated out or not. So in that filtration method we have to use a filter paper, so all that soil particles easily can be removed from water. So filtration method is a method to filter out actually water from some solid impurities. Because these solid impurities actually will be remained in that filter paper. Clear? So for that we are using some filter paper, some filter. Okay, filter means anything which can actually remove these solid particles. So for in that case we are using filter paper. So filtration is also a method of separating, but in that case particles should be some broader so that it can be separated out. It can be removed, remember, because if particles are smaller, so it cannot be removed by filtration method. So it depends upon the condition of solution that what are the particles added, so which method will prefer to remove these impurities in a mixture. Clear? For example, in that method what I have seen in a filtration, I have seen that in that particles are very smaller, so easily it is removed from a filter paper or not. That's why we choose this method. Related to this method, again one method is there, sieving. Sieving. Sieving means with the help of sieve things are removed. Channi. So it is very common to filtration also. So it is a method of removing impurities or removing one component from another with the help of sieve. Sieve means channi. Is it clear? So it is also a method of filtration. It is also a method of separation of mixtures. Clear? Now evaporation. Evaporation I have just explained. Again I am just explaining. In evaporation, suppose water is there, and if you just boil, because in that water salt is there, NaCl is there, and if you want to remove this NaCl, so what you will prefer? You will just provide heat. When you provide heat, so what happen? All that water converted into water vapor, and in that container only NaCl compound will be remains. Clear? So it is also a method of separation. Clear? This thing is clear or not? Okay. These are smaller definitions, but again I am just revising you. Now next method, centrifugation. Centrifugation. Centrifugation means it is, this word comes from centrifugal. Okay, this word comes from centrifugal. Actually beta, before to start this thing, I'll just give one example. Okay, not deeply, but I'll just give some hint so easily you can got it. When any object actually move in a circular motion beta, when any object move in a circular motion, then a force will exert at center part. Okay, for example, if it is a circle in which object is moving in that circular path, so always remember a force is exerted in a center part. A force is exerted in a center of that. So this phenomenon is called centrifugation, centrifugal force. Sorry, this force is called as centrifugal force. So centrifugation is come from a word centrifugal force. Have you got it? What is the meaning of centrifugal force? So this centrifugation method is related to centrifugal force, because this force is applied due to which we can separate out things. It means what we are doing? We are just creating a situation in such a way that a force is exerted on particles due to which one particle is separated out. Next solution. Clear? This thing is clear or not? What is meant by centrifugal force? When object moves in a circular path, so a force is exerted on that object in a center side. This thing is clear? Okay. Now, in a centrifugation method, actually, what happened? Actually, suppose any container, any test tube, anything is there, beta, any vessel is there, and it is rotated in a circular way. Okay? Suppose I'm just taking for example, blood also. I just can give the example of blood also. Okay, but I'll just explain you later. So I'm just saying any container in this, any solution is there, and if it is rotated, so what happened? Due to this centrifugal force, those are heavy particles now. It moves downside, because in a downside a force is exerted. Okay? And lighter parts, it will come out. This thing is clear or not? It is a way to find, just actually separate out cream from butter, milk. Okay? It is an example in which cream is separated out from butter, milk. Okay? Actually, what happened? In a circular way, solution is rotated. So what happened? All that cream is settled down, and that butter will comes in a actually upper part. Clear? So in a centrifugation method, solution is rotated in a circular path, and those are heavy particles which will settle down. Why? Because force is exerted on that, so it will settle down, and the lighter parts, it will move in an upside, so easily it can be separated out, because through that decantation process, now what happened? First, all that heavy particles settle downside and lighter parts come upper side. So through decantation process, without stirring, all that lighter parts can be removed or not. Okay? Through decantation process, all the light particles can be removed or not. These heavy particles will be remain in that container. Okay, now decantation means it is a process of separation of a liquid from a solid thing. Clear now? Without stirring. You know the decantation process. So in a centrifugation also we are just doing this. Now I am just taking an example of actually blood. So easily you can know that how actually blood report is made. Yeah, so how this thing is happened. Suppose if it is a test tube, and in the test tube blood is there. So students, you know now in a blood, plasma is there, RBC is there, is it or not? WBC is there, platelets is there. So these are the things which are present in blood or not. Okay? And among all these four, RBC is the biggest actually particles among all these four. So tell me one thing, in a blood these are the components, but among all four components, RBC is the largest particles. these actually particles are bigger in size as compared to all that. Okay, just to find out what we do, this actually test tube is put in an instrument. Okay, and actually instrument we can say in a actually in that instrument which is rotated. So normally in a lab such type of instruments are there in which this test tube is fixed and actually this starts rotating. Clear? So when it start rotating, so what happened? Solution, actually this also rotating, and when this solution starts rotating, the force is exerted on a center side. So due to this force, due to this centrifugal force, what happened? All that RBC, which are heavy particles as compared to all, it will settle down. It will settle down, and it can be separated from other materials, and due to this, all that actually readings can be taken. So it is a way. Clear or not? Okay. So that's all for today. Now on the next class we'll discuss some new things. Thank you so much.